Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the timeless tooth fairy herself, Sandy Reevy.
You come up with some good ones at the crack of a whip.
And it is episode 261, July 24th. Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have a short week starting off with Thursday, July 27th, Mercury conjunct Venus retrograde.
Yeah, this is a message to the king.
And Friday, July 28th, Mercury ingress Virgo.
Home again, lickety split.
Then no finished or upcoming Talisman Times. And on the horizon, we have some events coming up that you won't want to miss. And in our house, Sandy is on the road again. So stay to the end of the episode to hear more about her fun and adventures when shift happens. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of
Hello, timeless tooth fairy.
I was this morning. Poor Rachel, my daughter-in-law, just has this excruciating, and I've had them too, right? When you get a toothache in the middle of the night, it does get hard and bad. Yeah. So I went online this morning. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and found a place that could get her in right away as an emergency.
Perfect. Great. Way to go, tooth fairy. Woo-hoo. And you were also talking about something about oil of clove.
Oil of clove, when I did some research, it will kill a bacterial in a tooth.
Huh. So maybe that's a good mouthwash.
Clove would work.
Okay.
And add that essential oil to my homemade, mouthwash.
Right. That's good. All right. So welcome in, everybody. Episode 261, July 24th. This is going to be a short week and even short Talisman Times too. So we will try to expand where we can. And I first want to go direct to all of you listeners saying thank you so much for all of your loving messages and feedback that you share with us, because it is soul food. It ignites us like you wouldn't even imagine. And we talk about it and we rave about it and we get so excited about it. So this message is from Erin K. We met her at the Hay House conference. I can do it.
Tampa, yeah, just in May of this year.
And she signed on and did a personal intention bracelet with you where she described a little bit about it. So she says, during the process of my astrology chart, I finally had answers to changes and challenges. It was like opening up an exciting map of me and my path. In the 3+ years of being on a spiritual path, I have had many astrology readings, Reiki sessions, Akashic readings, all important for my path. Sandy's astrology chart reading intertwined with my talisman ceremony, and it was so in-depth. It outlined a clear intentional path for me. The process of my intention ceremony, I began meditating while saying my intention and affirmations until it shifted and I was certain I embodied my intentions, and then a sense of peace was present.
Oh.
That was so wonderful. Great description, Erin. We send you so much love and support on this path, and we hope that you shine your way. You light your way.
Right. She's amazing. She really knows so much about her direction, right? You can know about your direction, but you can be afraid to start moving in it, right? Because you have to swashbuckle some weeds, right? She's not afraid. She's not afraid.
Right. You got to bring your machete with you. So yeah, of course, the personal intention process is so focused and so pinpointed, and it helps you clarify what it is what it is for you. What is your intention? You write the affirmation along with Sandy, and your talisman is being made at the most pinnacle astrological moment for you. Okay, so let's move into this week's transits. So in the transits, we just have 2, and we start off with Thursday, July 27th, Mercury conjunct Venus retrograde.
So this is Mercury. They're both these planets. These are the 2 assistants of the sun, right? Mercury is the communicator assistant. He's the scribe. And Venus is the assistant, the personal assistant of the wardrobe, maybe, or the aesthetics, right? Setting up his, calendar for social engagements. But she's retrograde, and they're crossing. So they're conjunct here. Mercury's moving forward and Venus is moving backwards. And so they are conjuncting here at 28 degrees of Leo. And, this is a message to the king. So really Mercury, sun is not in Leo yet. Sun is still in Cancer. And Mercury has passed the sun up. So Mercury is bringing a message from the king, because he was the last one to have conjoined the king, the sun, and giving this message to Venus. So it's a message from the king, and Venus is now going backwards to meet up with the king, the sun, which she doesn't meet up until August 13th, when we're having that Venus star point
Talisman workshop.
Yeah, so there's a message that's coming from the king, and now Venus is bringing possibly the reply, the response, RE words, reply, response, as she's receiving another RE word, the message, and then going back toward the sun to reply. So, it's a great day to reciprocate. Again, we like those RE words when we talk about retrograde. Give back to someone you love. You could send some flowers with some sweet words, some candy of such, sweetness, that's Venus, right? Right. Words are Mercury. So, some candied words.
Yes. And always during that Venus retrograde is usually a time when like old love sparks come back into the picture. So if you are missing, say, someone in your past that you need to share something with, Venus retrograde is a great time.
Right. You might pass them on a street or at a party and you haven't seen them forever, or, they butt dial you, or, what's that midnight dial? There's a message. What are you looking at? What resurfaces here? Again, resurfacing to take a look at,
and reevaluating, because also, when we're reevaluating our values, Venus retrograde loves that. It's
a time when she can, remove, remove all of the negativity that has stuck to her in the last 18 months since she's been retrograde the last time.
Right. So that's the message for the king. So let's move on to the next transit, which is Friday, July 28th, Mercury ingress Virgo at 4:31 p.m.
Right. So this is just as you're about ready to get off work. Mercury moves into Virgo, where he is home again, a lickety split. This is a grand time to plan, to organize where he makes his next retrograde walk. He's going to retrograde here in Virgo. So this is going to be an okay place for his retrograde. Now, he doesn't retrograde until we get to August, but he's got domicile rulership in Virgo, so he can be very astute in his requirements, his bullet points, his check boxes. He can really get his Post-it notes in order. What are complete that can be thrown away? What are the priorities? What are the to get tos this month? It's a time to do the planning And you don't have to get everything done now, but you can set it up to get done.
Right.
But he doesn't go retrograde till the end of August, but he will stay, and this is really important. He will stay in Virgo until October 6th. He'll stay here 69 days. He usually goes through on his regular travel, his regular speed of travel, right? In his car or his bicycle or his train, right? He is the messenger planet. So he also is the movable, the transport planet. He represents all types of transport. And he usually goes through a sign in 3 weeks, about 20 to 21 days. For him to be in one sign, and it's his home sign, he hasn't been here for 6 years for this long. So you could even go back, 6 years and say, what was I organizing, planning? Did I start school? Did I finish school? Was I in the middle of building something, arranging something, getting my paperwork in order? Because this is where he starts because he's in a trigon of retrograding in earth signs this year. And so again, Mercury, Virgo is an earth sign. So this is where, so from today, well, this Friday, the 28th of July until October 6th. So you've got all, this end of July, all of August, all of September, and just 6 days into October to really get your planning and orderly files together. I know some people said, what I'm going to do this weekend is clean out my files. They even went and bought a high-powered shredder, and I'm like, perfect timing with Mercury and Virgo. You really want to get orderly.
Yep.
Really nice period for Mercury to be here.
And those paper shredders are so much fun. I have one myself, and I look forward to throwing those pages in there.
Yeah. And it's easier to do a little at a time versus sitting there with a 6-inch pile of, boring. Because I didn't know this about paper shredders, but when I had my big office, you need to oil those babies.
You do.
I didn't know that.
Because paper's so dry that it just it sucks out all of the oil from the machine very quickly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move into Talisman Times, because that is a very short week.
Yeah.
How about it? And then it's also going to be a short segment here in Talisman Times because there are no finished and no upcoming, but the talisman of the month is still available for one more week, and that is to be fair in all negotiations. I am very realistic and rather conservative in using my resources. I am somewhat detached from the demands of this project. I see how this works best. This is a Moon in Gemini, sextile Venus in Leo talisman. And this is like one of the more original ones. And I think it's just so interesting that this one's still around, because it has maybe a little bit colder of an element, but it is very practical. And especially with that Mercury ingress Virgo, that is that similar realistic, conservative, utilizing resources to the maximum. So that's a wrap on Talisman Times. Let's move on to the horizon, where we have our Bali in a bottle. A few of you, I think, on the podcast have heard this and responded right away, because the Bali in the bottle sales had an uptick as soon as this podcast came out. Those are still available on the website. We have a few left. We may not restock these, and who knows, but we are the only supplier in the US that has Bali in a bottle. We first brought over a shipment with us on our trip back to the States, and very fervently sold out. And so we needed to ship another box over to us. And this is our second inventory of them. It smells absolutely amazing. I keep mine in my car, And right when I am heading out or whenever I want to take a sniff, it is magical, and it
Lights up the car.
Yes.
Brings a garden to the upholstery.
It does. So that link is in the show notes if you want to check it out. It comes in this beautiful black case, and it's a roll-on. It's a perfume roll-on that's just decadent. So July 29th, we have our August forecast and cheat sheet available on our Patreon community page. So head over there, patreon.com/chattingwiththestars, where you are going to be seeing Sandy and Susan chat all about the August dates on a really high level, and from two perspectives. So you basically have like, you know,
a Pisces view and a Capricorn view. And we are so those people.
Right. So when you want to learn about, you know, investments and finances, you listen to what Susan has to say. When you want to hear about art and living and love, you hear what Sandy has to say. It's a lot of fun. So we would love to have you there. Don't forget, head over to patreon.com. You can watch it this upcoming July 29th with a free trial. So head over there today. August 13th, we have our Venus Star Point Talisman Workshop. This is a very special one with a very special guest, Ariel Gutman, who is the discoverer of the Venus Star Point. So tell us a little bit more, because you queued it up in the beginning of this episode. So tell us more.
The Venus Star Point makes a connection of one of the 5 points of a 5-pointed star, which, as we know, Michelangelo was doing the Vitruvian Man, and he had said that all architecture is based on this phi ratio of the golden ratio, the Fibonacci series. And that's what Venus creates in the sky, in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of those moments that we are getting while she's retrograde and goes into the heart of the sun on August 13th at 6:15 a.m. Chicago time. We are hosting this webinar exactly at the time when Venus is in the heat of the furnace of the sun, and she is purifying herself, as we do when we are, making a in the olden days when you would forge a, Hephaestus, right, was the god of forging, and he would put his iron and his tools and in hot fire, and then form them in a direction that he was, artfully constructing something, right? But he'd have to get that super, super hot, put it in the center of the fire, which is the sun, and then forming it into a manner of which he values. And so if we look at that and compare that to Venus going into the furnace of the sun, to identifying and purifying what we value, that we get to shape that. And Ariel, who I adore, and she is my mentor, and we're running a retreat in September of 2024 in Greece. But we are doing this. This will be our first kind of inaugural workshop together. And she's going to be looking at everybody's chart. I've done all of the work that everybody that signed up so far. I've done 3 pages of specific personal data points and suggestions of energy directions, descriptions. And then I send it to Ariel in Greece, and she'll write you a love letter of what this energy is for you, specifically based on your chart, because I give her all that information.
Right. It's going to be
so
cool.
and we make
a love letter from
the I do a pair of little clay bead earrings with the pink rose on it, with a blue background. We've decided we're going to, of course, the rose is depicted by Venus and creating the 5 petals, the 5-petal flower. So yeah, sign up for it. All that information is in the show notes, I guess. You can go to the website, take a look at it, read more about it. But it's this this is the only time it will be at 20 degrees of Leo in our lifetime. So what do you have at 20 degrees of something? And what is this affecting?
Right. And you find that all out in the reports that Sandy and Ariel work to process all for you. September 7th through the 14th, we are still in our last call for our single spot left in the Greece retreat. And that is happening, begins September 7th. So if you want to check out flights, make sure to arrive by September 6th and fly out on the 15th. We have one more spot left. So if you are interested, now is the time. Now is the time to really investigate and see if this is a possibility for you. Don't forget that for any of the retreats that we host, if you do have a few more questions or you want a little bit more clarity, you can receive a free 15-minute reading and question session with Sandy to see if the retreat is right for you. That link is in the description notes, so check it out there. We do have a few signed up for the Mexico 2024 retreat. I'll give you those dates quick, January 6th through the 13th. All right. I think that's all for On the Horizon, correct?
Yeah. Bali in April, but that's all we need to say.
Right. So moving into our house, you are on the road again. And
I am. I love road trips. I really do. Yeah. And you should see the car. We spent an hour on the interior. Oh my gosh, shampooing everything. We did it ourselves. It was fun. We each took a section. But anyway, it's always
there's
nice.
A guilty pleasure that I have. I love watching those videos of people that clean really, really dirty cars. It transforms it and it makes it look like it's a brand new car. So I can only imagine how good it looks.
Yeah, it does. It does. Anyway, but I went to Cincinnati, visited my mom. She's doing great. Came down to Louisville to visit Andrew and Rachel. We've been having a great time, from anything to catching up on Outlander for them and making delicious foods and Greek fried feta cheese with raspberry honey drizzle. Oh my gosh, we've been doing so much great food. I brought my Ninja Grill down, which I carry around with me. We've been doing, playing games, playing cards. We went to a public games place where we played, bocce ball and, some of those games like cornhole and ping pong and billiards and things that you do all in one location. We walked the lighted bridge and got caught in a rainstorm. And my son's like, Andrew's like, well, Mom, we got caught in the rainstorm. Do you just want to go next door? I saw that they were having a a tea testing. I'm like, you want to go to a tea tasting? He's like, yeah, sure. Whatever. So we've been really spontaneous and I happen to bring the book Shift Happens. It's just, if you don't have this, Robert Holden, PhD, he is a best-selling author of several books. And this one is my favorite of them because they're these little short stories. And actually, oh my gosh, I found a vintage O. Henry short story book while I was shopping in one of the used bookstores down here. So I've been reading the Gift of the Magi out loud as like I'm an orator, a book in front of them. I read The Last Leaf, which is my favorite ever O. Henry story, which when I was pregnant with Andrew and in the hospital for 9 months, that story kept coming back to me as just watch The Last Leaf, because I watched 9 seasons go by and watch The Last Leaf. So I read that to Andrew for the first time, when he's 39, almost 40 years old. And he literally got up, gave me a big hug and said, thank you, Mom. Because I said that this story kept me alive.
That's so powerful.
So if you get a chance, read The Last Leaf, O. Henry, which was written in the 1800s. So come on, it's old. But can I just talk about this Shift Happens?
Yeah.
So, I said, oh, Andrew, these are kind of cool. So I would read the name of the chapter and he would say, stop, I read that one. And so I stopped he asked me to read Exhaustion Means There Is a Better Way. But that's the name of the chapter. Can I read 4 paragraphs or no?
Yeah, I think we have the time. Let's do it. And also
Nice.
what I'll do too, before you start, is I'll put a link to this book in the show notes too, if anyone wants to join in, because it is one of our all-time favorite books.
Yeah, and we have a signed copy. He loves what we do because it's by setting intention and having that bigger focus, right? You don't have to get to this big focus today, but you got to take a step toward it. He writes this is page 223. Exhaustion means there is a better way. Your eyes have a red marbled effect. You are down to your last nerve. Your heart beats, but only when it can find the time. The thought of being enthusiastic exhausts you. I'm going to pause here. So I read the thought of being enthusiastic exhausts you. Now, I read mythology all day long in between things in my life. So I'm reading again, Mythos by Stephen Fry.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going on this Greece retreat, it's one of the books I suggested. Anyway, I would just finish this page. The Greek word for divine possession is enthusiasmos, enthusiasm. To be enthused or enthusiastic is to be engoddened, to be divinely inspired. That's what enthusiasm means. It's a Greek word.
Very cool.
So when I read this, then I'm like, oh my God, that's so linked to, so it just says here, the thought of being enthusiastic exhausts you. So in other words, the thought of being divinely inspired exhausts you, right? But the true meaning of the word. And you are tired of living. Now is apparently a great time to make lots of decisions that will affect the rest of your life. Yeah, right. Right. Now's a great time to make lots of decisions that will affect the rest of your life. When you're tired of living, you're on your last nerve, your heart beats only when it can find the time, and you are not enthusiastic. Not a good time, right? He's being funny here, right? A client of mine recovering from burnout once said, my problem is that when I have energy, I get busy. And when I am tired, I make decisions. Exhaustion is not the best time to sort out your life. When exhausted, you are not in your right mind. You make bad choices. For instance, you probably drink espresso to relax, and you probably think insomnia is a great opportunity to get more work done. In my medical lectures, I use the figure below as an aid in describing the psychology of exhaustion. Now, I wonder if this is something that you can put on the bottom of it's just run-on letters that say a word, that say a couple words. And the way you look at it and interpret it, you read it out loud. And so I looked at it, Andrew looked at it, and we said, opportunity is nowhere. Right? That's what I show you on Zoom, right? Opportunity is nowhere. When exhausted, vision pales, purpose is clouded, worry reigns, thinking is muddled, and there is a downpour of aggression, frustration, and pain. Self-attack is high as you conclude, A, you are powerless. B, there is no opportunity for change. Vision can, however, transform miraculously with enough rest, healing, and help. So that what once looked like a dead end now becomes a way out. For instance, opportunity is nowhere becomes opportunity.
Opportunity is now here. I see it.
Did you see it at first?
No, I saw the nowhere first. I did.
When you have healing and rest and you ask for help, right? Hey, can you help me fold the clothes? Like, seriously, can you swing by and pick up milk? Right? opportunity is nowhere becomes opportunity is now here.
Mhm.
Anyway, I want to end there, but it goes on for a couple more pages just to, let me go to, and he gives about some hints and exercises that will help you to reconnect to the vitality, inspiration of your true unconditioned self. One of the ones I like is, give up the now, then give up the not now. He says, there is nothing more tiring than trying to live in 3 places at once: the past, the present, and the future. Choose one. By giving your best to now, you will receive more. One more. End sacrifice. Exhaustion is a sure sign you are in sacrifice. Wow. Maybe you are giving energy and time, but you are not really giving yourself. Hence, there is no real intimacy, synergy, exchange, or receiving. One more.
Okay.
Be real. Integrity is energy. Who would have thunk that? I love integrity. Integrity is energy. It connects you to intention, vision, and purpose. Resisting your own guidance is exhausting. Keeping up appearances will wear you down. Be true to what is highest in you. Oh, one last, I swear. It's the last one anyway. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is a miracle. It restores vision, it turns fatigue into energy, and it raises the dead. Gratitude will jumpstart your batteries. You cannot be fully grateful and tired at the same time. So I'm leaving this book.
I feel like the tired would kind of shift into a sense of contentment
and satisfaction and peacefulness, to be grateful for having a beautiful dinner with my son and daughter-in-law. And it takes away, it shifts from being so tired because I did go do the cooking and doing the hauling up the 3 flights of steps and the cooking and the cleaning and the garbage dump. And, but thank you for that beautiful dinner I was able to prepare. Takes all that other exhaustion away.
Right. Or that feelings of self-sacrifice. So yeah, that's one of my favorite books, and Robert Holden will always be one of my favorite teachers, because he's just so caring, so genuine, and talks to literally everyone and has an extended conversation that is just so cool.
Yeah. And he's always in the now. He's never like looking over your shoulder, trying to be somewhere else. He teaches that. True. So it's a good thing he does that.
Right.
Is an example for us all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that is a wrap on this week's episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. Remember, we would love to hear your feedback, your questions, whatever you have for us. Make sure to email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. Give us your 5-star reviews wherever you listen to this podcast, and we will see you all next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you. The story of you, the story.